The best work that I produce always seems to come when I reach the point where I just don't give a fuck anymore. When I stop worrying about the rules, the proper format, and most especially, when I stop stressing over what my audience is gonna think. Giving a fuck refers to caring, and caring too much can quickly become derailing or even paralyzing, resulting in much lesser quality work. At the same time, knowing perfection is at the very least subjective, if not entirely unobtainable. I often include intentional mistakes or glitches in my work. My practice involves a lot of experimentation, pushing the boundaries of what I'm capable of, and frequently trying new approaches. Themes I often return to include connection, the nature of reality and consciousness, and health and well-being. I see art as everything and everywhere. Everything. It's art. This is art. This is art. That's art. It's all art. With a life well lived as the greatest art of all, I see art as storytelling, and with our lives built out of stories, art has the potential to bring its audience to that liminal space between stories, that space where all the magic is. Whether it's an artistic work, a written work, presentation, or a test, the less I worry about it, the better. I've done it the other way, spending months writing, studying, and preparing. The response I get is rarely better than when I do it last minute and stressing the least amount of time. Those lengthy term papers, those lengthy research papers I only began writing hours before they were due. The exams I spent half an hour or less studying for, all invariably end up with better grades. When critiques and rules are paralyzing my artistic progress, when I'm endlessly worrying if I'm doing it right, worrying about what my audience expects of me, the stress has nearly broken me. And, more importantly, the results were poor. When I ignore the rules, when I do what I want to fucking do, disregarding all criticisms and feedback, and worry about what are they gonna think, the stress eases and I produce my best work. This is the not giving a fuck point. Whenever I reach it, everything gets better. The results, in terms of grades and my own satisfaction, are always better. When I stop concerning myself with what others expect of me and simply express myself honestly and to the best of my own judgment and ability. There's something to this state of mind, this zero fucks given state. ZFG, zero fucks given, the zero fucks given state of mind. Stress is well known to be a major factor in ill health. ZFG is the letting go of all stress, of simply being very meditative or mindful presence in the moment, unbothered by the past or future. One might commonly enter into what's known as a flow state with clarity, focus, and untethering to disruptive thoughts and stories and reach peak performance. It's about stopping the worry about the work and just doing the work. A stressed and worried state can be extremely counterproductive, not to mention the health costs. And in my experience, it has never been worth it. My mind functions better, my body's performance improves when I stop overthinking and approach the task with ease, with ZFG. When in the ZFG state, all rules and expectations are rejected. I do what matters to me. Paradoxically, when nothing else matters, what's being produced matters the most. I create like it's the most important thing I'm ever going to make.
That he approached each of his pieces as though that was the only thing that he was going to do.
And because it matters so much to me and emerges honestly from an unrestrained place, an appreciation by others is the most common outcome. People can sense bullshit. They know when you're just going through the motions, when you're not producing from the heart. When I make something that I think somebody else is gonna like, it's way too easy to stereotype them, to imagine things they might adore on a surface level and miss their full depths. It's enough of a challenge to explore and know my own depths. When I trust in my own good taste, when I create something I would like to see exist, others respond much better. Relating so strongly to it myself, chances are others will relate to it too. Kind of like self-care. You gotta take care of yourself before you can take care of others. Being the first person to care about your art leads to others caring about it too. The ZFG approach leaves space for both caring about yourself and for what you produce. Art is never finished, merely abandoned. I embrace this philosophy. Art as never finished and perfect with its imperfections. There's this idea of a spirit bead in indigenous art. This is one bead that's purposely placed in the wrong spot, a mistake, done out of spiritual respect and humbleness, and to not lose yourself chasing perfection. In the same spirit, I intentionally include glitches and mistakes in the work that I produce. This began as an appreciation for the aesthetic of errors. From growing up with worn tapes and scratched discs, corrupted data, and everything else, just producing all those little glitches. I started to like that shit. Given a deeper meaning by the spirit bead concept. Relatedly, kintsugi, the Japanese practice of repairing broken pottery by sealing the cracks with gold, creating greater beauty by emphasizing the flaws, shares in this appreciation of the perfectly imperfect. I like to appreciate the flaws in everything. The ugliness, the scars that give character, show that the life has been lived. I also believe that every artwork has its own spirit, a belief shared by indigenous artists as well.
Everything that's made in here has a spirit in it.
In creating, I try to respect that spirit. I try to allow its being to be expressed through me as best I can. Noting when things don't go to plan, if there is a plan, a different approach may be needed for the art to go where it wants to go. It's kind of like embracing happy accidents.
We don't make mistakes. We just have happy accidents.
The best art can be almost effortless in terms of forcing it to be what you want it to, and rarely goes to plan. Those mistakes often point the way to a better direction. I work more as a gardener than an architect, not planning everything out in advance, but starting with the seed of an idea, of an art spirit. I get to the ZFG state and respond to the process, watering the seed, as it were, keeping that spirit alive, striving to not impose my will on it too much, but instead letting the work be what it wants to be, neither resisting new directions nor holding too tightly to any plans. This is the essence of ZFG, to let go of preconceptions and not resist when winds blow another way.
Give it a little touch, give it a little push. Make love to the canvas, give it a little touch.
Experimentation becomes a natural part of the process. Staying open to ideas that arise while you're creating. Make it better is a philosophy I subscribe to. I stole this from Core Blund. I've loved since he was with the Smalls. He's got his own version of this ZFG state kind of thing. He always thinks when the critics are getting too shitty, when the feedback is not what you wanted, you just ignore that, you go and you make it better. Keep on making it better and better until it's undeniable. I never believe that I know all I need to know. I'm always trying to learn. There is a style that carries through, I'd like to think. Techniques that I return to and try and improve upon. I love the fluidity of generously used ink and watercolor, for example. I tend to steer away from photorealism, unless I'm doing photos, in favor of expressive lines and unique perspectives, like style over realism. I like certain colorings. Though my work will always be changing and hopefully improving, there is a recognizable style. Above all, I just try and trust my instincts, to work from intuition.
Don't think. Feel.
Relax, let it flow. Think like water. Relax.
This could override my usual choices. When I'm paying attention, things are going to feel right, or they won't. This sense is getting more refined over time. Perhaps it's just taste and experience subconsciously exerting their influence. Perhaps it's the art spirit, a story that wants to present itself truthfully and looking its best. Making it better is about refining my abilities, including the ability to reject all I know in favor of what feels right. There's themes I return to in my artistic explorations. Connection's a big one, both in connecting to others with the stories and the art, also connecting through collaborations. It's like video and photography often needs another person. Rolling Stones photographer Annie Leibovitz says she was never afraid to fall in love with her subjects. I can relate strongly to this. I produce better work when I'm in love with the subjects in front of my camera. Leibovitz also prefers to work as an observer, fly on the wall kind of thing, capturing reality as it occurs, with as little direction as possible. I've worked the same way a lot, trying to capture an honest moment, truthful expression, when a subject is fully themselves, as opposed to posing for the camera. I take thousands of pictures, record hundreds of hours of video, just trying to capture those few tiny moments of truth. But also looking to the interconnection between all things, in a universal quantum physical sense. Separation is an illusion. Another story. Eastern philosophies and contemporary science both share stories of the wholeness of reality. Just go ask Buddha or David, protege of Einstein. Boom.
Both quantum mechanics and relativity suggest the world is not made of separate elements, but it is an unbroken whole in flowing movement. The image of that would be a flowing water.
Think like water. Think like water.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
If you had vortices in this water, each vortex may be thought of as separate, but really they merge together. There's never any separation, right? Things which are far apart are still related deeply.
The nature of reality is another related theme, as is the nature of consciousness. It's all connected. Everything's connected. I had to spend a lot of time studying health science in efforts to cure myself. I was very sick for a very long time. In many ways, I succeeded, and I'm healthier than I've ever been before. Oh, there's still some things I'd like to improve upon health-wise. Thus, themes of well-being are common in my work. To share and remind myself of everything that I've learned, and to learn more. Research into all these themes is ongoing. I agree with Marcel Duchamp on a number of things. His most important contribution is said to have been recognizing the lack of art in art.
His recognition of the lack of art in art,
and the artfulness of everything.
and the artfulness of everything, I think, is probably his most important contribution.
Creating an invitation to be aware of and appreciate the art in everything all around us that often gets neglected.
The work of Duchamp remained something that invited one and sharpened one's awareness outside, to something outside the work itself. So that as one went around the rooms of that exhibition, because of the Duchamp, one noticed the handles of doors, vents in the walls and ceilings and so forth.
His work as an amalgamation of life and art.
To the word that would mean not just art or not just life, but both of them. We don't perhaps have that word, but if Duchamp had been here, say at the beginning when language was invented, we might very well have had such a word.
Duchamp viewed his life as a work of art. Notably and also influential upon my views, Bruce Lee also saw his life as an art.
It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
With breathing, behavior, and reactions as important features to this life art.
J'ai une sorte de me servir de la peinture, me servir de l'art comme pour établir un modus vivendi, une sorte de façon de comprendre la vie, c'est-à-dire probablement d'essayer de faire de ma vie elle-même une œuvre d'art, au lieu de passer ma vie à faire des œuvres d'art sous forme de tableaux, sous forme de sculptures. Je le pense maintenant, je n'ai pas pensé au moment où je le faisais, qu'on pouvait très bien de faire de sa vie, c'est-à-dire sa façon de respirer, sa façon d'agir, sa façon de réagir avec des autres individus. On peut traiter ça comme un tableau, si vous voulez, comme un tableau vivant, même un tableau de cinéma, si vous voulez. Et je crois que, en tout cas, c'est mes conclusions maintenant. Je vous répète bien que ça n'a jamais été voulu et organisé quand j'avais 20 ans ou 15 ans, mais je me rends compte maintenant, après de nombreuses années, que au fond c'est à ça que j'ai tendu.
I share this view that everything is art, not simply what's found in galleries and museums, most especially how one lives one's life. I do my best to live artfully, to appreciate breaths and every experience, to be aware of behavior, reactions, and the stories that I believe in. The stories that we believe in make up who we are.
I like the word believe. Believing is more, I think that people in general, when they say, I know, they don't know, they believe. I believe that art is the only form of activity in which man, as man, shows himself to be a true individual and is capable of going beyond the animal state, because art is an outlet towards regions which are not ruled by time and space. To live is to believe.
Stories make up who we are. Art is stories. We are made of art. We tell stories about our world, cultural and personal histories. Stories change with perspectives, no longer written solely by the victors either, but also the oppressed and the post-apocalyptic, like Japanese and indigenous people, and others that popular history/stories have ignored. Who we are is just a story we tell ourselves. All we believe in are stories. The role of the storyteller, the artist, becomes the most important role there is. The most powerful stories shape how we live, where we will go, what is most important. They can and have altered the very reality we experience. Propaganda is just the weakest form, because it's obvious in its influence, but all stories/art are propaganda. The ZFG approach moves between stories, beyond them. It can reveal and move consciousness into that liminal space between stories, to move one out of their ego, their perspectives, by sharing alternative tales with the potential to be felt so deeply, as is the virtue of the most powerful art, as to change who one is, at fundamental levels even, and, by extension, change the world. Art has the potential to change all of reality. Is your mind blown yet? Because it's getting blown. Mine is. A story told well, a finely produced artistic masterpiece, can change all stories told after it. When zero fucks are given, art can be made without the restrictions of any past stories. It is a move into liminal space. A better story can be told. Art can reveal that our true nature, our awareness beyond thoughts and stories, our existence in that liminal space, is the purest reality. We might know this from meditation, psychedelic experience, Eastern philosophy, and/or theoretical physics. The truth of the interconnection of being, whether we believe in the story of the Big Bang or of Adam and Eve, everything has a singular whole, holy source. Art can pull us into the experience of the moment, unshackled to stories. When I reach the point of not giving a fuck, I enter that space. I'm no longer restricted by others' rules, expectations, and stories. I reject even my own ego and stories, in reverence to what feels true, to a better world in all its imperfections, where we neither resist nor hold on to stories, but enjoy each of them as they are, perspectives and ideas, and enjoy our nature as complete and whole consciousness, enjoying itself in all its variety and changes. This is the power and potential of art. I do my best to do what I do better and make my story stronger, to remain open to that space of ZFG, of liminality, where everything I know might be wrong, where only consciousness and experience are real. The stories that I've had of who I am, of what existence is all about, of what reality is, have all changed through my experience of life. I hesitate to define myself any further, for I know that change is constant, and I wouldn't want to limit myself to any stale narratives. I do believe that space of ZFG is where all the magic is. It is the moments between stories, feeling, not thinking.
Don't think. Feel.
It is the moments between stories when we're feeling and not thinking that we experience happiness, love, joy, gratitude, and real satisfaction. Life can only be enjoyed living in this present moment. The greatest life art is not giving a fuck about anything else, and fully experiencing being as it is. The less I give a fuck, the more my art improves, the better my experience of life is. I become grateful for all that is. I just enjoy being alive. It's awesome. Stop giving a fuck. Really, it's not good for you. So what does all this look like in practice? Well, so I've never made a process video before, not like this, and apparently you can only record one program at a time, so I missed the first 2 hours of this project, but here's the end of it. Here's another project that I did manage to record all of. And this is this very video being made.
I